So there's a misconception going on about Nintendo Switch game cartridges that I keep seeing people talk about online, and they act like they know about these cartridges here when they actually don't know anything about the Nintendo Switch hardware and how it works compared to PlayStation 5 and PS4 like disc-based games. And the biggest misconception is that people think that these cartridges pretty much act like those discs where you pop in a PlayStation 5 disc into your console or PS4 disc or whatever the case may be. It downloads the game directly to the console, and then you just use the disc as I guess permission to play that game on your console, unless you hack it, of course. But obviously, these cartridges work way differently than that. PS5 discs and PS4 discs, most of the time they do contain most, if not all, the game on them. It just depends if they're first prints and they get like updates and patches. Obviously, you're just downloading those updates and patches directly to the console, so the game itself is not getting updated directly onto the disc or cartridge in this case, and the disc is still fully incomplete and doesn't have all the latest updates on the disc itself. So, which is why later on people end up buying later revisions of these discs where they'll release a complete version or like definitive version of these discs that contain all the DLCs and patches all on the disc. However, if you still pop it into your PlayStation system, it still downloads everything directly to your console. That's just how the system hardware works. So it downloads it directly from the disc to the system, and that just means the entire game is on that disc. It is on that disc, and you're just simply downloading it to your hard drive and then using your disc to be able to play it. Because obviously, if you read the game directly from the disc nowadays, it's going to be very, very slow. Very, very slow. In fact, if you go back and play your old PS2 games, you realize, running games directly from discs it's very slow. PS2 had very slow load times, and those games back then obviously were less graphically demanding and less demanding than the newer games nowadays. So obviously that's just how that works. However, with Nintendo here, these work differently. Sometimes some games will have, sometimes they'll have some first prints that contain the bare bones game itself on cartridge. Some of them may not even have the full game on cartridge, and I'll go over that shortly in a little bit in this video. So I'll pick Metroid Prime, Metroid Dread, for example. When this first came out on the Switch, obviously it had a bare bones update number called 1.0.0. It's just the bare bones game itself. No patches, no updates, nothing. Game was perfectly playable, just had some bugs at the time, obviously, that they fixed over time, and then they eventually threw out a free DLC with a harder mode, I think Dread mode and Easy mode, which was nice. Nice welcome. You didn't have to pay for that, obviously. But the problem is 000 on the cartridge, which is in the back, would represent the first print of the cartridge. This one I have here is 004, which is the latest, basically the latest revision of the cartridge that contains all the latest patches, all the free DLC, everything all on cart. So that means you just don't have to update it at all. You can just pop this in any Switch, and everything's just on the cartridge. So the misconception that people got was that, you plug this into your Switch and then it just downloads directly to your Switch. Not entirely. In a case like this, where this cartridge has the whole game on here and doesn't require any updates at all, because the latest updates and patches are on this cartridge, being where it says the last numbers ending in 004 for Metroid Dread. When you pop it into the Nintendo Switch, it temporarily stores the game into the Nintendo Switch's RAM on board. So that way you are using the Nintendo Switch's RAM to run the game. However, the moment you take the game out, it's going to kick you out of the game, obviously. It still has to have a direct connection, but it is taking said game and temporarily storing it into your system's RAM versus a PlayStation that requires you to just fully download that game directly to there, if that makes sense. So it's not reading directly off the cartridge, and so on. So this is vastly different than a PlayStation disc. It's its own thing with Nintendo. So I bring this up here because there's something important I need to discuss today with you guys. I know 5 minutes into the video, about the future of Nintendo Switch physical hardware and physical cartridges moving forward as far as revisions, first prints, and so on. I'm going to be honest here. I'll start with a game that you guys probably know more about, and then get to games that you know less about, if that makes sense. But you probably know a lot about all these anyway. Is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. When Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl released, in the back of the cartridge, it would end in 000. This one's 003, so this is the third revision. Contains the later patches on here. I'll go over exactly what it is, and how you can look it up yourself to see what is on your cartridge. Very easy to do. So basically, 000, the first print of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pokemon Shiny Pearl, basically did not have the full game on the cartridges, if that makes sense. Like, it was missing the start menu, it was missing a number of cutscenes and a number of things throughout the game that were missing. Like, so much so that the game came out with a day one patch that you were able to update the game. You were able to download this update, and the day one patch was several gigabytes large. And so essentially you were able to play the game day one. Great for people who play digital only, and great for people who had the cartridge but wanted to play the game to its full potential. You just pop it in, connect to the internet, update it, good to go, right? But in the same way that the compact discs on the PlayStation 5 or PS4 cannot be updated and cannot be rewritten, it is the same thing as these cartridges. These cartridges cannot be rewritten, they cannot be overwritten or anything. Any updates or patches you download to your Switch will not store it to the cartridge. There's a huge misconception out there that people think that it's going to store it to your cartridge, and then you'll be able to resell it and be like, oh, it's complete. No. When you download these updates and patches, it's download and DLCs. You are downloading it directly to your system's storage, your Nintendo Switch's internal storage or micro SD card, however you have it set up. But it does nothing to the cartridge itself. Once you take the cartridge out and then sell it, it's still broken. So the biggest problem here moving forward is that like 20 years from now, maybe even 30 years from now, depending when Nintendo decides to shut down their servers completely for this console, which will probably be actually about 10 to 20 years, give or take, I think about 10 years, just like they did with the Wii U and the 3DS. Honestly, it's going to become a problem for physical games like this, or at least the first print one, because then you have a broken game. And you have a game that's like fully incomplete, and you'll have to hack your Switch in order to download the proper patch, which may not always be available because Nintendo be cracking down on a lot of websites and hacking communities for uploading stuff like that, and even though you own the game. But in a case like this, 001 and forward were like newer revisions. Obviously, you can check the back here. So if it ends in 001 or forward, the cartridge itself will contain the day one patch on the cartridge. So you're pretty much good to go. In a case like this where it's 003, it's a third revision. That means it's been patched a couple more times since then. It has fixed a lot of issues that the game has had since then. The latest the latest revision for this is 005, which contains all patches, all updates, including the newest update that allows you to get Arceus on this in the game, post-game, of course, if you have a fully complete save file for the main game story of Legends Arceus. So, and then you load this up, you beat the game, and then post-game it'd be like, okay, we see that you have a complete save file for Legends Arceus. Here you go. They give you the ability to be able to capture Arceus in this game, which is the newest patch. You can still update that now. You can have the first print and still update to that. But like I said, that cartridge is going to be useless in about 10 years or so. maybe more or less, when Nintendo takes down those servers. So this right here, I'm comfortable with this being like a pretty decent update, to the point where the game is very playable. Honestly, I don't care about the Arceus thing, but yeah, 005 would be the latest update, which I am still looking for. And ways to tell, like I said, ways to tell is to simply just delete the game. All you have to do is just go onto your Nintendo Switch menu, make sure the cartridge is not in there, press the plus button or start button, and delete the software. This is not going to delete your save file unless you go into your settings to do so. You delete the software, it's going to delete pretty much everything you've downloaded for the game, all patches, all DLCs, everything. You'll just have to re-download it later. So this pretty much just wipes it clean from your Switch, and then when you pop in a later revision, it's going to show what update is on there before you even update it, especially with this one that will require an update anyway. And you can look up the update itself, Pokemon Diamond or Pokemon Shiny Pearl, on Google, and type in that version number when you press plus on there, or the start button, and look up patch notes. And there are patch notes on Google. It'll tell you exactly what the patch notes come with, and you can even look at all previous patches that were released before that, so you can see what is all on this cartridge. So really cool thing to do. Again, Metroid Dread here is fully complete on Kart. All the latest updates and patches at 004. The way to tell this as well is just to use a spreadsheet online created by NintendoRevised. You can find NintendoRevised on Twitter, X, or Twix, and you can also find him on YouTube as well and Facebook. I highly recommend him. I know he's getting a lot of heat for his passion for this, but there's a lot of misconceptions where he'll upload showing proof of this stuff, and people will call him a liar. Which is why I'm not even going to bother showing you proof of this on my Nintendo Switch, because there's plenty of proof on his end on his YouTube channel. I'm simply going to talk about this. Whether you believe me or not, that's up to you. Another prime example here is Gato Roboto. Gato Roboto, when it first released, had an update on the cartridge that was available digitally for the digital version of the game. Now, on the digital version of the game, with that patch on 000 version of this cartridge, did not affect the game negatively on the digital version of the game. You were able to play it fully to the very end, and you were able to complete the game. But for some reason, that version on the cartridge had a game-breaking bug, where every time you reached a certain boss fight, I guess like in the hot part of the game, like the heated pipes level or whatever it's called, you reach that boss fight, it loads it in, and it crashes every time. Super Rare Games did apologize for it profusely and immediately released a patch for this, but this only fixed it externally. It didn't fix the cartridge itself. So to this day, Gato Roboto, the 000 first print that is out there, is completely useless. You cannot play the game past that boss fight unless you get that patch downloaded. And guess what? That patch is not overwriting anything on this cartridge. It only gets downloaded to your Switch, and you can do nothing about it as far as the cartridge itself. So once Nintendo servers go down, you are left with pretty much paperweight or a display piece. Anyway, this one, of course, is 001, which, thanks to some random guy on the internet who fought tooth and nail on the internet back and forth via emails and messages and tagging Super Rare Games and such, because of that guy, they finally reprinted the game and sent out a copy. I believe they sent out free copies of the reprinted cartridge to every person who bought this game physically. So there are pretty much revisions of this game out there now. There are a pretty decent amount of scummy people, unfortunately, that will be selling this revision for way too much money. I was lucky enough to find this, and a pretty decent amount of other people as well selling this revision of the game with the patch on cart itself fully complete, meaning you can play this to the end without requiring any patches in the future. This game is good for many decades to come, many years to come. And yeah, like I would find it for like $30 or so from these people. So I bought the Bear cartridge itself for $30 off some guy. I deleted my digital version of the game off of the Switch, popped it in. It didn't need any new updates, and I was able to play the game fully to completion. I 100%ed this game, so without needing any extra patches for it. And yeah, so it's important to look out for revisions with the use of that guide online that the Nintendo Revised community has painstakingly put together, and we're still putting it together to this day. I consider myself a part of that community because I do my best to try to keep them informed of any games that I receive as well. So, I'm going to bring up, the last thing I'm going to bring up in this video is pretty much games like this, where you have Pokemon Violet. This is the Japanese version of it. Pokemon Violet with the DLC on Kart. When this first came out, obviously, there was a 000 version of this game and then 001. Pretty much 1 and 2 are all pretty much fully incomplete, meaning half of the DLC is not on those cartridges, unfortunately. Half of the DLC does require a download, and it even says it on the case itself. However, people have stated and shown proof that there are newer revisions of this cartridge that say 003 and even 004. So 003 and forward, containing the full DLC on the cartridge with no extra download required. And you can buy it on Amazon Japan, but do it at your own risk because it's a gamble. They don't change the covers of the games themselves. They just update the cartridges, stamp it with whatever revision it is, and they put it in those game cases that still say that it requires a download, and even the description on Amazon still says it requires a download. But people have shown proof that they've gotten 003 and 004, the third and fourth revision. They were able to delete the game and the full DLC off of their Switch, showing proof that they popped it in. They load up the game, and the DLC was fully on Kart. This is the same thing with a game called Mario Kart. I know you guys know all about Mario Kart. There's a Mario Kart plus DLC, which contains like the first 5 courses on Kart, and the 6th course being the one that you have to download. Obviously, there is a newer revision. I don't remember the revision number. You can check that out on Nintendo Revised community and their spreadsheet that they have pinned to the top of their page on Twitter X. I'll try to leave a link in the description below to those pages. And essentially, you just go in there and you can go to the first-party games and then see that Mario Kart Plus DLC does have a newer revision that contains all 6 courses on the cartridge itself. I'll even leave a link in the description showing off Jesse's video, Jesse from Nintendo Revised, showing proof. He shows 2 different videos showing proof that all the DLC is on Kart. And he fully deletes the game, which deletes the DLC and everything off of the Nintendo Switch, plops in the cartridge, and it shows all the DLC there. There are people that think, oh, well, he didn't delete all the DLC. It's like, well, yeah, no. The Nintendo Switch, do not compare it to the PlayStation 5, okay? Do not compare it to the PS5 or PS4. The Nintendo Switch itself, when you delete the software or whatever is on your main menu that shows the game itself, and you press plus on it or the start button and hit delete software, it's going to delete pretty much all the patches and all the DLC that are on your system. Once you delete it, go to your system data management, and you will see that it's not there anymore. So then when you pop in a newer revision of the game, you'll see whether it's fully complete or not. So I hope this helps, guys. I know this is a pretty long discussion video. I'm very passionate about this. I'm very passionate about basically getting fully complete carts. I'm very concerned about the future of physical media just because of this. Revisions are just going to happen. And your first print cartridge is probably not going to be as good as, you know, the fully complete Metroid Dread one here that I have here in the future, because, I mean, there's going to be bugs in your older one, and this one contains, you know, the free DLC with easier mode and Dread mode. It contains more features and, you know, all that. But unfortunately, not every single Switch game out there has the you know, has that privilege of having a revision made for them. A lot of games just don't get that love. So just yeah, show some love for the community, for Nintendo Revised. They try their hardest to fight for you know, physical media in the future, and just helping people. They're trying to help people get the most complete Uncut games. And for those who love physical media, so kudos to them. Please throw out any speculations you guys have against Jesse. He's a really cool, down to earth guy. I'm not trying to defend like bad behavior or anything. No, like there are times that, yeah, he can get a bit too aggressive, you know, with certain people. But he's just very passionate. He's very passionate about what he does, and I'm not supporting, you know, anything bad he said to certain people. But sometimes it can be taken out of context. Either way, he's trying to help the community. We're all trying to help the community, and let me know in the comments down below if this is something that I helped you learn about today, about Nintendo, you know, revision and revised cartridges. This is definitely something that is not a cheap thing to do as well, because you're talking about probably having games that are first prints and then having to buy them again just to get a later revision. So, and then you get rid of the older one. So yeah, it's just it's one of those things that it's not a cheap thing to do. And but however, if there are games that really mean a lot to you and that you want to keep for many years, decades to come, I highly recommend investing into getting the latest revision of your favorite games. So let me know once again in the comments down below if I helped you out in any way, if you know about this. And if you made it this far in the video, you're awesome. Please give the video a like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and all notifications. You'll be notified when I upload and go live. If you become a YouTube member, and if I at least receive 3 YouTube members, and I'm talking about a bare minimum 3 YouTube members, 3 to 5, you know, I will start putting out exclusive content for you guys, starting off with exclusive live streams. And I'm talking about maybe a once a month live stream that is just for you guys to access, and only you guys, no one else. If that's what you want. And then it could probably be a live stream where you guys pick like a random Super Nintendo, NES, or Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Color game that you want to see me play or something like that, live stream wise, and check out, which will be fun. So 1 game per person, obviously, for said live stream. But either way, if you made it this far in the video, go ahead and leave me a cat emoji, as well as a robot emoji representing Metroid. So go ahead and leave me a cat emoji and a robot emoji, both of those together, in one comment down below. It lets me know that you watched up until this part of the video, and I'll heart your comment. If you want to join the Discord, you must be 18 years of age or older to join. Please be courteous of others, don't spam, and please read the rules and regulations on your way in. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have an awesome one. Be safe, be excellent to each other. Sorry, this is my unedited series. And you guys have an awesome one. Bye-bye.